You can't take it with you, a comprehensive and sarcastic list of the common sense realities changed by the year 2017. This outline will take you step by step through the biggest changes in America caused by the year 2017. In order to illustrate the contrast of this year, we will compare these new changes to the time of a vastly different year, all the way back in 2016. It should be noted that this is not any kind of instruction on how to stop, reverse, or in rare cases, continue the progression of these changes, just a sad and often sarcastic description of what these changes are and how they compare to the good old days. 2016. The members of a president's cabinet and appointed heads of federal agencies are individuals who have spent their entire careers working within a profession to the degree that they are widely considered experts within their fields by many of their peers. 2017. The experts have had their turn. The highest positions of power in the United States government shouldn't be discriminatory towards the unqualified. Just because someone isn't knowledgeable in a particular subject doesn't mean that they shouldn't be in charge of running that entire area of the federal government. Something as simple as not being a scientist in any way doesn't mean they can't become the chief scientist of the USDA. Filling a cabinet is actually quite easy. Just give someone a nice office and tell them to ask Siri what the particular department you just put them in charge of is supposed to do. Alternatively, there is an extremely eager pool of individuals who are very well versed in areas of the government and are more than willing to be in charge of its direction and effectiveness. These rich white people are hardworking Americans, devoting every day to discredit or shut down the very institutions they are being put in charge of. Like appointing a lawyer who works for oil companies to head the EPA, despite the fact that he sued the EPA more than a dozen times. Or putting a Bible-thumping businesswoman as the head of the Department of Education who speaks like she couldn't pass a high school equivalency test. Also, wouldn't it be neat if our Attorney General was the Travelocity gnome? 2016. This one, smarts. The President of the United States of America is a compassionate, articulate, reserved, calculated, diplomatic, intelligent, attractive representative of our nation who truly embodies the value of public service and works in the interest of what is best for the people of the country who have elected him to the highest office and greatest honor of our government. 2017. 2016. Nazis are bad. 2017. Give them a chance? While the official stance of the American government on Nazis marching in the streets has never before included the benefit of the doubt, or the jury's still out on those guys, 2017 has certainly brought that notion up for debate. In fact, some of them are very good people is an actual quote from our president when he was supposedly cognitive. 2016. The biggest threats to our country that worry our commander-in-chief are terrorist groups such as ISIS and the growing nuclear arsenals of unstable countries like Pakistan and North Korea. 2017. Kneeling during the national anthem is a disgrace to our flag, our country, and our troops. This type of behavior threatens every aspect of American life. As professional football players are wealthy and protesting is something predominantly done by poor people and or college students, this attempt at a peaceful protest about the killing of unarmed Black American citizens was quickly uncovered by our mean girl in chief for its true objective, to disrespect the American flag and everything that it stands for. From the First Amendment detailing free speech to the veterans who lost their lives for freedom, including those who fought and were killed by Nazis. Yes, it's obvious obvious that those famous athletes are the ones saying, "Fuck you" to America. 2016. A fact is the name of something based in reality. A truth known to exist or have actually happened. 2017. Alternatively, these are facts if you believe hard enough. Donald J. Trump was elected to office by a massive landslide victory in the Electoral College, which of course means that he won the popular vote, despite the 14% of illegal immigrants that voted. His bid for public office was never seen as an utter joke, as public service was an obvious next step for someone with his famous years of experience helping out the little guy. He successfully ran on a platform of repealing Obamacare on day one, which he pointed out that Americans hated and insurance companies have been making a fortune off of. His administration's efforts to repeal Obamacare were unfairly thwarted when it came time for a vote, and the Republicans had one senator who's a yes vote, but he's in the hospital, and he's a yes vote, so they can't do it, but they have the votes. Donald Trump was sworn in at the highest attended inauguration ever, then proceeded to sign more bills through the legislature than any president ever. Also, no administration has accomplished more in the first 90 days. He then quickly moved on to his tax plan, which does not benefit the wealthy and won't raise the deficit. After all, we are the highest taxed nation in the world, who in the past decade twice elected a man from Kenya to be president. Although that's just something that Hillary Clinton started saying. 2016. Sexual advances towards children are bad. 2017. This was 4 decades ago. What about Mary and Joseph? He's always asked permission of the mother. How can you prove that that's a real signature in a yearbook? He wants to restore moral values to Washington. Who likes them all anyway? You name me a district attorney who hasn't called a high school in his 30s to get a teenager pulled out of class so he could talk to her on the phone and ask her out again once she's already turned him down. 2016. If you like your sexually predatory work associate or boss, good news. You get to keep your sexually predatory work associate or boss. 2017. No one likes their sexually predatory work associate or boss. The realization of most of the masses that there is zero reward and therefore no valid reason for a woman or several women to completely fabricate a story of being sexually harassed or abused has finally led to some actual action against the accused. CEOs were fired, actors were erased from films, the President of the United States stayed in office. But at least we found out that there are an alarming number of men who are under the false impression that masturbation is the type of activity that warrants an audience. The way the Romans gathered in the Colosseum to watch the gladiators battle. Hopefully now we are able to reach these misinformed men and assure them that only their eyes and the eyes of Jesus should be upon them when they yank it. Sorry, Carl. You invite me to this nice thing. Okay. 2016. Robert Mueller is a Republican and former director of the FBI who was originally appointed by George W. Bush and whose original 10-year term was given a 2-year extension by President Barack Obama. This makes him the longest-serving FBI director since J. Edgar Hoover. He is very well respected within the intelligence community and by members of both political parties in Washington. 2017. He is the one. Come to save us from our inevitable fate. The giver of hope, the returner of sanity, the remover of orange. He is everything, the true savior, and our inspiration that at the end of this very long, very dark tunnel, there may actually be a light or a P-tape.